Can you describe what it was like in the week before the war started, before December 7th, and then leading up to the
Well,
2 to 3 days before? Sort of what was going on?
well, I knew it, just from the reports from worldwide, we knew we were going to be in war. But the United States was isolationist, and they were against all war, any participation by the United States in any part of the world. But before that, during the summer, we knew it was going to come. And we trained for it. And in September, probably in October, November, the whole island was on full alert. We had squadrons at Bellow Field and over at Haliva and Wheeler, plus the Navy. And we'd been on about at least 4 weeks living in the field.
What do you mean by that?
Well, we were living in pup tents and slip trenches and maintaining aircraft completely combat ready. Pilots were ready. We had to maintain a person in the cockpit at all times. Stood guard at night. All the essentials as if we were going to be at war anytime. Then on December the 6th, actually it would have been December the 5th, Friday night, all was a shutdown. Every squadron was called back to its original station. And we were taken out of the field and brought back to the ramp at Wheeler. And 9th, 6th Squadron and all the rest of them. We hoisted the airplane and took the ammunition out, took the weapons out, cleaned them up, polished them up, and then lined them up in rows, tail in between the wings, stacked them. And then we were dismissed we were through at midnight. We were told that we were going to stand and have a grand review the next morning, or 7 o'clock. So on Saturday morning, I've always said the Japanese were late 24 hours.
So are we to Saturday morning would have been the 6th?
Yeah.
The 6th.
The 6th.
Okay.
And we passed the entire group and wing. Passed and review, about 3,000 men, I'd say, close to it. Maybe not that many, but close. And complete inspection, standby inspection, and passed and review. Then we were just paid, they called us, told us paid. As soon as we were dismissed from the parade field, we went back and we were paid at the squadron. And we were given a weekend off. Pass. So we automatically we were busted loose with everybody, and we went to Honolulu. Sinkowitz and Kevich and I and others. We hit Waikiki. And I think we started what they used to be, maybe the Green Lantern dance and band. And then from there we went over to Royal Hawaiian. And we spent the night. Not all night, but we got home about 3 o'clock in the morning. Went to bed. And Sink, he was outside. We were both staff sergeants at that time. I was a flight chief and he was a flight chief. And but in between there, I got my papers to attend a pre-flight school. There was 24 of us, and 4 of us washed out because of eyes. So I went back to maintenance instead of infantry. aircraft. Anyway, we got, on December the 7th. And it was on 7:55. There was a guy, Sergeant Folan, come running through, and now we were on the 3rd floor. And he said, the Japanese were attacking. And I said, get out. And I threw a shoe at him. And about that time, I'm looking out, and it's all open, the screen. And Sinky was out on the porch type thing, veranda, we want to call it. We saw a bomb hit all across in a field up area. And blow, we knew it. So he and I got up, and we, instead of dashing out, we got dressed, took our time, got ourselves completely ready to go to, not come back. But we couldn't get into the infantry, into the armory room where the rifles and stuff were. Hall, another man in there, heavy set, big, burly guy. He crashed through the wire fence, and we got inside there.
I mean, just with his body?
Yeah. Men do things that's impossible to believe in a situation like that. But he went through that wire caging, we got in there. Then we couldn't, it locked the rifles in. So we finally got that broken loose, got the key and opened them up. Then no ammunition. All the ammunition had been removed and put someplace else. In the meantime, this bomb hit the 6th Squadron barracks. Hit the mess hall, or the kitchen, the mess hall. When it did that, we were on the way downstairs, knocked us down a flight of stairs. But the people that had run from the first bomb, 3 of them were killed immediately. They were shot in the shrapnel. So the idea there is you don't ever run during a bombing attack. Hit the dirt. But then the guys in the 6th Squadron were trapped inside of their barracks with the same kind of wire supplies that they'd stacked on a kind of a porch area on the back side. So Hall and all us, 3 of us attached in and used a rifle about to break some of the wires loose so they could get out. And then we took them back over and we got them into the 18th Air Base building, got them back in the middle of the building and those that were wounded bad, we just got sheets out of the laundry, out of the supply room. And as we bring them in, they bandage them up, take care of them. When we got that done, then the next job was to get to the, we knew we couldn't go in, but it was the bombing was over momentarily. So everybody head to the line. And we got the line, and then one of the kids from...
Is the line where the aircraft are?
Yeah. Okay. Well, everything was shot. We didn't have one airplane out of 25 that left. The rest, everything else was destroyed. And what we did was what we could move. We got them out and parked them out onto the field. And then 2 of the pilots that had been down at Leva landed, and our men put loaded ammunition. Then they took off right away, and one of them became an ace.
Who were those pilots?
Taylor was one of them, and I can't remember the other guy's name. But they went down to make laughable. The Hawaiian police arrested them for speeding when they were going back to their base to get airplanes. But they had been stripped too. But they had their guns put in, they couldn't get them. But we loaded them at Wheeler. And they took off. And then about, I'd say it was probably about 7:45 when the second attack hit. Bombing, and they bombed the end straight. And that's when the guy, everybody was running, getting off the field, running. You could hear him a half a mile. And the sergeant yelled out, "You yellow son of a bitches, get back down here." It stopped them from running. But at least we got them headed back the right direction. And that's when that General Davison come driving up the ramp in a damn staff car, what they used as a staff car. And I stopped the driver and told him to get out because the guy's strafing. And they see that car, they're going to get him, so get the general out of there and cover him. Well, they got him down and brought him inside of the hangar where they couldn't get to him. And that raid lasted probably, I don't know, probably another 30 minutes or better time. Then we did body pickup and cleanup, aircraft. Rest of the day was spent just recovering. And what aircraft we had left was 26, a few 26, P-26 and P-36, a few P-40s. So we put them out, we got all, and we worked for the dependents. And they picked out certain homes over across from the field where they could put all the women and the children. Then we got the aircraft out to back out in the field, what were left. And everything was in panic, disorder. Infantry in trucks, trying to get back to Schofield, and they were firing it.
Firing at what?
At aircraft. But they weren't ready to get moving trucks. Then during the night, the first night, it was just chaos. The infantry come down and they had people all around the perimeter of the field. Everybody thought the Japs had still landed, expected them to land. So they were out, and then patrol would go out. The next thing you know, and the guys are screaming, "Yo, you're firing into us! You're firing into us!" Panic. That went on for practically all night. Then things settled down, and the next day we went back and cleaned out our lockers and threw stuff out. Most of it just went out and let the Japanese and whoever Chinese and natives pick it up, shoes, socks, shirts. And then just pick up your clothes, your military clothes, all you took. Then the body pickup was probably bad. That was always Tent City, as we call it, was terrible.
So you moved out of the barracks into, and then put up tents?
The barracks was, I mean, we had 1,000 men living in tents on the end of the city block, about like 6-man tents. That way we called Tent City. They were we didn't have room in barracks for them all. That was new outfits that had been built during the summer. Oh my goodness, there was a whole group. They were undermanned, we were all undermanned. But as they formed outfits, they were had to live in tents because there wasn't any room in the barracks.
So is that where you guys went then after?
No, we stayed in the barracks.
So your building stood?
Yeah. It had a lot of shrapnel wounds and a lot of bullet holes, bullet ricochet would break the concrete, not shrapnel damage. A lot of that. Of course, the 6th Squadron barracks, that was bad, real bad, because they bombed it right in the kitchen and the mess hall. Then a lot of guys trying to get to the line during the battle, or during were wounded. And again, during the bombing, there's only one place to do it, and that's to hit the ground. Then run after they pass over. But it was just chaos. Pearl Harbor, guys coming in from the Lexington Navy fire were getting shot down by our own people. I didn't know, that was found later. But anything that moved, it was unexpectedly, somebody was going to shoot at you.
Did you know how badly the harbor had been hit?
We knew terrible, but we didn't know how bad. Because everything on the whaler was in smokes and flames. The ammunition dump lasted sounded for 6 hours popping off. 10 million rounds of ammunition going up. But we could see that, knew that Pearl Harbor and Hickam, because you didn't have no radio as such. We didn't have. They had them, but nobody. Then, yeah, Major Evans and I, Swearing John, we were trying to cross the field in a Jeep. And the next, he hit the ground. I shot at.
By your own people?
Yeah. So they just looked at, waited. He was yelling, I was yelling. Hold fire! But everybody was nervous. The infantry, we were our own guards, our own people. So that lasted, the kind of excitement lasted for. Rumors were terrible. Terrible.
Give an example.
Well, the Japanese are attacking. And no, they're not. We didn't know. That's whatever. So and so,
I mean, they're attacking on foot.
Yeah.
They've landed and they're attacking.
Well, you're out in the dark and darker, and nobody knows anything. Communications aren't like we used to have the field phones. You had to crank it and talk to the guy up front. Didn't have these instant radios like came later. So all the communication was from him to back there. Was you crank that field phone and talk. Well, that's what we had.
How were you feeling during this? I mean, what was it like for you personally? I mean, were you scared? What did you think was happening?
No, you really don't bother you until it's all over. Your first thought is to get to where you can fight back. You've got to get that. You've got to do that. You're trained to do that. And you try to think about your men. Because some of them are not, they lose stability.
They lose what? They lose what?
Stability. We had a master sergeant in World War I. Like he went crazy. He didn't that day, but the next day, we had a B-26, A-20. Back then it was an A-20. And it had been loaded, and we were still in the field then, the next night. And we don't know yet what happened, but anyway, it caught on fire. Well, we all sitting out there When the bomb went off, the first reaction to the bomb, and I said to the group that I had, the squadron, my flight, my honest word was, them bastards have got through again and bombed us. But it wasn't, because we realized that, and then the master sergeant was running, and they had to tackle him to keep him from running into that plane. You didn't meet him, but Nancy met him later after the war. He was a crew chief, and unstable. He was staff sergeant. He ran, and he just ran no direction. Instead of running for help, shelter, he just take off and run down the runway. He did that, so they had to tackle him and shut him down. Well, you can't do that. Later on, we made a mistake. He went to Midway with us. That's getting ahead of it. But then we were re-equipped with aircraft in. I think they got in there around Christmas time. They brought them in, and we went to Fort Island, Pearl Harbor area, with it, and unloaded, and we all in crates.
So, before we move on to the day after Pearl Harbor,
Yeah.
Are there any other recollections or memories of that day you want to include in sort of that day?
Well, the only other thing that I'd say is that we were set up. If that's what all indications are. The way the aircraft we were come off the alert. The way they were lined up. Completely downloaded. Everything stowed away. Completely helpless. The whole outfit. The wing, the groups, everything. They said that they were put that way because of possible sabotage. And we've always questioned that, the guys, because we had sentries out all over during the time out in the field. And they weren't asleep. So we always felt that our security was better when we were dispersed and loaded than when we stacked them. And then making everybody on the base, including Pearl, I later found out, everybody was given a pass. So you're completely, manpower's gone, nobody. So we have always have said, and I've always said, not only me, but other people, that we were set up to make the United States realize isolation wasn't it. And it proved the point.
Did people feel that during that time, right then, during those first few days? Or is this something that you thought of later in retrospect?
Well, we realized it later when more and more, when we finally started getting the news in some of the reports, that yes, we felt that we were set up for the purpose of causing us to become engaged in the war. We weren't, the bad part about it was the Pacific was second class. Because the first class, what Roosevelt wanted was us engaged in Europe. And a lot of things happened that indicate that Europe was the first primary later on. But well, not just me, but a lot of it always said. we were set up purposely, completely unprotected. And if you follow through and you're right, many writers since have confirmed that. And some of the history says that some of the documents cannot be revealed to the public from 50 years after the last person engaged in an operation is dead. And looking back now, 1985 is the last, as far as I know, was the death of one of the final actors in that procedure. And he was one that was over there, but he was dismissed after parole.
And who was that? Who was that?
The admiral.
What was his name?
I'll have to look it up. But he had to take the rap. He and Short was the Army, Hawaiian Army Department commander. They were relieved, promotion, all that done already. And they took the rap. But their information was faulty and wasn't right. That's the main thing what Pearl did. It caused us to unite a people, and they went full out. Cost us more than we thought. But later on in history, it has been proven that Roosevelt to Churchill and some of his staff has said that the death of 6,000 would be minor, but it would at least cause the Americans to unite. And that's in Roosevelt's. And I believe Arnold was guilty of some of it. General Arnold, he was the Army Air Force. Because right after the war started, we became the Army Air Forces instead of the Army Air Corps. Then he made a statement that aircraft was grounded because crew chiefs wouldn't buy. Well, that was a bunch of bull.
The crew chiefs wouldn't what?
We wouldn't buy nuts and bolts from downtown to put on aircraft. Well, he was a bunch of bullshit. We were never short any nuts and bolts. We might have been short other parts, but not that. Yeah, we were short tires. We flew a lot of times we didn't have tail wheel tires sometimes. But you pick the wheel up and run it. No. Had a guy who made some with rope. Braided a rope, put them on. So they went the men. Everything was going the other way.
What other way?
To Europe.
What happened in the those days after Pearl Harbor?
Well, we salvaged what aircraft we could. We had P-26s that single-engine open cockpit. Major Walsh was the instigator and creator of that. He built a rack. P-26 wasn't any good for anything anymore except what he. But they were big enough that he hung a depth charge on them and used them for patrolling submarine patrol around Pearl Harbor in that area. And the 36s and so forth were equipped with, they went back to, in fact, 36 was flown during the attack and shot down one or two Japs. But we refurbished, re-equipped all new aircraft, P-40Es. We assembled them down at Fort Island on the Navy station. Then after they were formed, we formed our squadron, got back together, and we went to Bellows Field. We stayed over there for, probably 2 weeks maybe. Then they took us and assigned us to Hilo Air Base over in the Big Island. And then we flew a patrol out as far as we could with P-40s. And we were escorting the 34th Infantry Division. The Navy was ships. They were bringing them in from the States. And we stayed out there during February, March, and maybe April. And we didn't know it at the time, but after Pearl Harbor, our squadron was supposed to go to Wake Island. And of course the war broke out before we were shipped out. So we came back from while we were at Hilo, we did patrol duty with the P-40s for like February, March, April, and I think probably in May. And we came back then from Hilo and went to I think back to Bellows. And we stayed at Bellows, and then in June we were alerted to for further shipment. We didn't know where. And I guess it was June around we knew the Battle of Midway was going on. The B-17 was flying from Hickam over and back. But anyway, we got orders to, we didn't know where. Was shipping out. So we got on, we were assigned as little, it was called a USS Midway. Not the big one then, it was a 700-ton supply boat. So most of the squadron was put on that little old scow.
How many in your squadron? How many people?
Oh, we had all the flight chiefs, the crew chiefs, just about down there all. There was only 150 out of men in the squad. We were only half man. Squadron calls for 300 men. We had 150 thereabouts. When we shipped out, then they told us that after the first or second day at sea, they finally said, you're going to Midway. We got there, of course, they were through fighting on the 4th. The last battle of Midway was 4th. And we landed in the 7th at Midway. But going back to, we were attached to the Navy. When we went to Midway, we became under the control of the Navy. And we spent, and mainly we did is patrol. And we'd fly intercept if we got an incoming, an alert, the aircraft go out and meet them.
Can you go back to that first day when you landed at Midway, what that was like?
Oh,
because the battle, yeah.
Well, the old, what they call the Navy, well, they used to have Pan American, I believe it was, had seaplanes that landed there. And refueled, maintenance, had hangars. That's all bombed out. The water plant was bombed, the facility was bombed out. Then we had to, our aircraft got in we got there on the 7th. And our aircraft finally got there off, the Navy had the carrier, went, picked them up. And they flew off. In fact, we were the first ones to ever fly fighters off of the carrier. They got in on the 11th, I believe. The only time we were just assigned duty, police duty, picking up deaths again. The Marines had picked up most of the plane. But then we had to pitch our tents in the scabiola bushes.
What kind of bushes?
Oh, we call them scabiola. I don't know what they used to go up about maybe 2 feet or sleep in the pup tent. The aircraft got in there, because we had to detail every day. Navy used us more for details. And we'd do our own work and then do police up work. Every morning you'd have to go out and pick up all the dead birds off runway, goony birds. Scare them off and pick up the dead ones. Then do the trash. That went on from, well, we had the revetments were built for the fighters, and the crews lived right in the same revetment. They had a little 2-man or 3-man built right into the banks, pretty well bomb-proof. The pilots were all dug out and went into a underground build-up of coral, because you couldn't go too deep to hit water, because 3 feet above sea level was the highest point. They were put there, and the rest of us were put, all slept in tents for a long time. And then we finally, we serviced, well, we did help service Navy aircraft, our own. And then we, the patrol duty. We lived that way for, some time. And Swearing John Evans was really tough. He was what you call no horsing around. I mean,
who was
give
he?
you an example, like
Who was he?
Swearing John Evans.
Uh-huh.
He was a major at the time, Major Lieutenant Colonel, and he went down to New Caledonia. But to give you an idea, when we were still at Hill, it's Buck Sergeant and Hammer, the Master Sergeant, was walking out the door, and he went to shoot him. They missed him and hit the door sill. And so Major Evans, of course, put him in, and he just put him on the couch. And he said, got 2 other guys. And he said, he had a rifle. He said, I don't have a jail to put him in. I don't want him in jail. I want to take care of him. He said, I can't afford to have a misman. So he said, he's to get on that couch, or that bed, cot. Like army cot. If he so much as get up out of there, I want you to shoot him. And if you don't shoot him, he gets up out of there, you're going to get shot. And he right in front of everybody. And this guy says, you can bust me to a private, and Swearing old Evanson, the only bust you're going to get is a bust in the face, and bam, he hit him. And he said, you got that straight? If you get up again, you're going to get shot. He turned around and walked out. And he didn't, but he protected us. We were on Midway, and the Marines and everybody we were the underdog. And it's comical now, but every day they hadn't got the water plant, and you're allowed one canteen of water a day, plus beer. You got 2 cans of beer a day. And to get your beer, you had to go through and get in line, and then go through and ration it out. And there's a window, and just build a tent, and beer tastes like formaldehyde. The Buck Sergeant Ginn, brilliant, educated, and he could quote Shakespeare and all of that word, just go on and on. The old man, like he said, would you shut that son of a bitch up out there in that tent, or I'm going to kill it. So this time, and we're all in line, and Ginn is right up line. And a group of Marines came up, and the major in charge of them, and they're marching. And he walked up there and he bucked the line, and he took that can of beer out of his hand and was going to serve the Marines, first. And the major took a sip of that beer, and I said, mate, he did. Ginn hit him. And he rolled that can right down his face. Well, the Marines immediately, they put him under bayonet, the sergeant. And so somebody runs and gets Major Evans. He comes out there, and then they call Captain Martin. He's over the whole Navy. He's over the islands. So he gets there. So Major Evans told him, he's under arrest, he's under my man, he's my man. But he said, I want 2 sentries. And I want them changed every hour. He told him to the captain. He said, it's your job now to see that he gets the protection, because I'm sending him back to Hawaii. Wow. And I'll send him on, and he'll probably go on down under. But the Marines are going to kill him if he stays here. And all right, everybody's listening to it. And so Captain Martin put him over in one of these type revetments that we had, to put him inside, and another guy with him, and then 2 sentries. They stayed. And anybody tried to get in there, just kill him, shoot him, and then do it. Well, anyway, the old man went AWL.
Who did?
Our squadron commander. And so he got on board one of these, what we call the LB-30s that used to bring. They'd bring in the liquor supply, fruit for the Navy and whatnot. And Evans was the type that as soon as the liquor run in, he'd come on and he'd call all the flight chiefs. They'd come in, they each got a bottle of whiskey. Then the line chief, the assistant line chief, and the master sergeant was over armament, and the communication chief. Those 4 guys, they come in and they got a bottle. Now they didn't get it for themselves. They got to share it with their men. Then each crew chief got a bottle, and he has to share it with. Usually we just have 2 men do it because we were short-handed. So they got a bottle, and then that's it. So he took care of it. And anyway, he went. We used to service Ramey's ship when we were bombing Wake. Do that. Ramey went to it one time, and the guy that's bringing chocolate bars was Ramey B-24s. So they were getting in, and they were charging the guys on Midway like 20 cents for a candy bar. And candy bar was only 5 cents at the most, at any place, or 3 cents in PX. So they found out about that, and the old man went to Ramey and told him, these guys are charging my men. They're doing the work on that plane, servicing them. And they're bringing that chocolate in there and charging these guys 20 and 25 cents. They don't get chocolate. So Ramey called them all of like crew chiefs and gunners and so on. He said, okay, man, dump your pockets. He said, how many bought candy? So he said, stop that. He said, well, I'll tell you, I'm going to court-martial these guys when they get back. And they're going to be charged 1 month's pay, each of them. The master sergeant, crew chief, the gunners, they're losing 1 month's pay. That's going to come out to you in candy and booze. And he did it. And Evans flew back with him. And he took a plane coat. He took a plane, you know. He broke a piece off. Got down. Then he walked into the General Emmons. He didn't get to General Emmons, but he got it to General under him. They knew one another. And the story goes that he walked in there and he threw that cone seat down on the desk. And he said, I've got to get my men out of there. They're living terrible. They're doing all the work, doing all of this, that. They're doing nothing but details. They built Quonset huts. And as soon as they get one built, the Marines move in and the sailors move in. He said, either get me out of there and my men out of there. And he said, I want to be back here, or I want to be back here to see this thing grow. So lo and behold, 3 days later, he's back out there. 2 days later, Emmons is there. 4-star. He's over all. And he just made one trip around that island called Martin. And he said, I want all of the Marines out of that Quonset hut. Here, those guys built it, they're moving in. Now the Marines can build those other huts. The material is there. They can build. And he did it. So that's the kind of a commander he was. And anybody go to bat for him.
And what was his name again?
John Evans. And he was doing all over the Pacific as Swearing John.
What happened to him ultimately?
I don't know, but he went down to Guadalcanal, made lieutenant colonel, squadron commander. What did he got? Shot down there? I don't know, but I thought it.
I'm gonna stop.